Hey everyone, and welcome to Screams After Midnight. I am Peter. That thing across the screen is Tim.
A handsome thing.
There's something on the screen. That's
Are
my.
you Jeff Goldblum?
Oh no, that was more of a Shatner I was going for there.
Okay.
You ever seen that Twilight Zone episode?
Oh, the Terror at 10,000 feet or
Yeah, yeah.
whatever.
There's something on the wing. Like,
Sure.
I don't know. Okay. Clearly, I can't do it. That's fine. I can move on with my life. We usually talk about horror movies, and we're still talking about horror movies in this, but we usually spend an episode discussing one film, whereas this is going to be part two of our top 100 horror films of all time. We already did 100 through 76. The way this works is that we alternate. Tim gives one of his picks, I give one of mine, and we keep going. We do another 25. This is going to be 75 to 51. So part two of four, and we'll get into it. So it's also very quick. We spend maybe a minute on each film. Tim, and me will just give a sentence or two as to why we think it's that part of our list, and we'll keep going. So it was fun last time. It should be fun again, although Tim might screw it up. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm not sure if there's any that will make you that angry.
Well, we already had the.
All right. Yeah, I think.
We already had the shock horror of both Leprechaun and The Boy in your first chunk, so.
Actually, I think in this chunk, I don't think there's going to be any controversial picks, but we'll see.
In fact, so I guess we'll get started. So, Tim, what is your number 75?
75 is a movie I know we're both fond of, and I'm actually curious if it's going to show up on your list as well.
Don't speak for me.
Well, we'll see.
How do you? We're both fond of it.
All right. Well, maybe you hate this movie then. But that would be Creep, a found footage movie from Mark Duplass. I think a couple of years ago it came out, but it was actually a very surprising. Found footage is kind of tired nowadays, but this was actually a really good story. It had a reason to be found footage. Stuff in it actually made sense, and the Mark Duplass's character basically puts out an ad saying that he's dying. He wants someone to film his last moments for his unborn son, and this guy takes up the job and starts realizing the guy is super creepy, and it just does a lot of really cool, creepy stuff, and I liked it a lot, and I'm excited for the sequel.
I am shocked and appalled that you used the word creepy twice to describe the film Creep. That's just lazy. Get a thesaurus out. Come on, Tim.
I apologize.
I hate that you're right. I do like that movie. But my number 75 is actually also a recent film, Southbound, which is an anthology horror movie where all the stories are based around. They're all road trip sort of based, where people are sort of either on the run or they're driving somewhere, and but obviously the title kind of implies like maybe they're all on the way to hell, that kind of thing. But it's anthologies are very hit and miss at times, because often they'll have maybe one or two good stories and some bad stories, and that's tradition is kind of it's not all the same quality, but the quality is generally pretty high. There's like 3 out of 5 that I think are really great stories, but my favorite thing about this movie is that it very thematically and neatly ties them all together. They all kind of like fill out an overall kind of premise, and I like that. They're not just random disconnected things. They kind of just thematically connect enough that it feels like a movie, where they all feed into the same idea, and they feed into what the point is. So because of that and the atmosphere, Southbound.
Yeah, I love this movie quite a bit as well. Probably one of my favorite anthology movies that I've seen in the last couple of years, which I feel like for a while seemed like they were kind of making a comeback. We've had like all the VHS movies, ABCs of Death, and those never hit me as hard, but this one I like a lot. But for number 74, I had to go with a classic, and that, of course, is Halloween 3: Season of the Witch.
Jesus Christ, Tim. Oh, dear. 74? Halloween 74? have to get a new co-host. That would no. I couldn't take that. 74. Oof.
Yeah. A lot of people, rag on this movie. Obviously, it's the one that kind of takes a left turn. It has nothing to do with the other movies. There's no Michael Myers. But I love it. I think it's a ton of fun. This is definitely an annual rewatch for me. I can't help but think about Halloween without thinking of the Silver Shamrock song, and there's like some cheesy stuff but it's all in really, really good fun, and I like it a lot.
Happy, happy Halloween, 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 happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock. Yeah, it's okay. I don't love it. I love Tom Atkins. I love his mustache. Which, by the way, is his second appearance on this list, because I had Night of the Creeps all the way back at the start of the list, which had him in it. Now, keep in mind, we're also noting down how many of the other person's films we've not seen. I've seen the ones you've mentioned so far. I'm just reminding the audience that we're doing that. I got my notepad thing up so I could update it.
Oh, okay.
Should, if and when I need to. Halloween 3 is okay. It's definitely, look at it as a standalone movie, because that's what it is, and it's got some funny elements. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. The plan's a bit flawed, but it
that I love my nonsensical crazy movies. So
you do. My number 74 is Army of Darkness: Evil Dead 3.
Ooh. A little low on the list for me, but it's a great movie, no doubt.
Hey, I top 100. Like, I could have made a top 200. Like, a lot of spots, had to be cut. A lot of movies had to,
as long as it's on there.
Take the knee. But this is the one that veers out of horror probably the most, and it's. Sure. It is definitely more of a horror adventure movie. Ash goes back in time, he's with all these knights, and he ends up training them to take on an army of deadites, or an army of darkness, one might say. And it's super fun. It's Bruce Campbell gets to Bruce Campbell more than he's ever Bruce Campbell before. Oh yeah. There's some great training montages. There's great all this stuff. My last thing I'll say about it is that I actually prefer the theatrical cut of the movie. I think the director's cut actually drags a little bit, and I prefer the ending of the theatrical cut. I don't know if
I agree with that.
I thought I might be in the minority of that. And the funny thing is, because of the TV show, the theatrical cut is the canon cut. Yeah. because the director's cut has a different ending, which does not explain, or doesn't make any sense with the new show. But
what was funny is I was rewatching the first season of the TV show, and I was listening to some of the commentary on it, and I forget exactly how it went, but Bruce Campbell did mention something before about how they were thinking of, I don't know if it was going to be in, well, I think maybe in the fourth movie, one of the ideas they had was going to follow like two different timelines, one that like followed each ending of the movie.
Oh, that's so weird.
It sounded like really interesting. Who knows how well it would have been, but it really sounded fascinating.
I think ultimately that wouldn't have worked, just in the sense that most of the audience, sure, the hardcore fans would have got a kick out of it because they'd know about both endings, but I feel like your public who are going to see it are typically not going to understand why it's got two timelines. Like that, but who knows? Maybe they had a neat way to wrap it all up. What's your 73, Tim?
73 is a movie we actually reviewed kind of recently. That would be Silver Bullet. This is based on a Stephen King story, and Lord knows I love my Stephen King.
Yeah, don't bury the important part, though. The actor who's in it is the best part. Come on, get to him.
Oh, of course. Yeah, Gary Busey is the wild and crazy uncle. There is a motorized wheelchair that has a car chase scene.
Yeah, I want to point out, when Tim says motorized wheelchair, he does not mean just an electric wheelchair that has a motor that makes it move like 5 miles an hour. This is basically a motorbike with a wheelchair attached to it.
Yeah.
He needs a license, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. But this is actually one of my favorite horror movies, or not horror movies, werewolf movies. It's certainly not the best one that's ever done, but it's a lot of fun. Again, '80s cheesiness, Gary Busey. If you haven't seen this one, I'd really recommend it. And check out our review for it if you're interested and haven't seen it.
And I would guess some nostalgia plays a role in the love of this one.
Oh yeah, of course. Without a
doubt. My number 73 is Final Destination 2.
Oh my god.
Oh, you have a problem with this one. Oh my. Well, this is my favourite Final Destination movie. This is, like, the first one's okay. Like, the first one's kind of a fine little idea. It takes itself a little bit too seriously. But the second movie, oh no. The second movie said, no, we know what this is. We're going to have fun with this. It is over the top. The deaths are ridiculous and goofy and gory in all the best ways. The ladder in the eye is one of, it's a standout moment. In fact, the entire opening, highway, like, destruction scene where they all brutally die is glorious. It cracks its jokes, it has fun with itself, and this is my favourite of the series. I have a blast with Final Destination 2. I think the deaths are so fun.
I have only seen one Final Destination movie, and it was the 3D one. I don't know if that was the third one or...
That was the fourth one.
Fourth one, okay. That's actually the only one I ever saw. And it was actually because my dad wanted to go to the movies, and he likes 3D.
The big bodybuilder Vargulish wanted to see Final Destination 4 in 3D. Well, obviously, at some point we'll probably do the franchise, because we're going to work through all the big franchises at some point.
That's why I was a little surprised, because I don't really know much about the franchise, but just from the little bits and pieces I've seen and what I've heard from people is I didn't think this was a franchise that got a lot of love, so I was surprised that it's on the list and at that number too.
I like 2. I actually quite like 5 as well. 5, because I'd lost hope in the franchise, because I didn't like 4 that much, and 3 was not as good as 2. But then 5, well, it's not as good as 2, but it's kind of back to being dumb again, dumb and stupid, and I like dumb and stupid in Final Destination. When it takes itself too seriously is when I don't like it as much. But no, Final Destination 2, it's a fun popcorn time.
Okay. All right. Well, my 72 is another anthology movie, and that is Trick or Treat. And this came out, like early 2010s ish era maybe.
Yeah.
Or late 2000s. I don't know. But a fun.
2009, 2010, something in that range. God damn it.
Yeah, it was 2000 something. I know that. But no, this is a good anthology movie. I love that it's set around Halloween, which surprisingly not like a ton of horror movies really are around Halloween that much. Like obviously the Halloween franchise, and then there's a few here and there, but you think there would be more. But yeah,
you got your Hocus Pocus.
Sure, of course, that classic horror movie.
We did Tales of Halloween last year, another anthology Halloween movie.
Oh, don't remind me. Yeah, this is an actual good Halloween anthology movie. But yeah, I like all of the stories in this. I think there's some pretty cool death scenes and cool characters in it. And I'm sorry I'm saying this a lot, but it's a lot of fun. I think we're in the area of the list where these are like, the fun movies where, I feel like farther down we're going to get to the more serious classic kind of stuff. But right now we're in fun territory, baby.
My number 72 is Shaun of the Dead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, see, this is one of the things that I'd never really done before, but I actually included some stuff that veered into horror comedy because I felt like it kind of still belonged. Because so many horror movies I watch have different tones. Like, you have your ultra serious stuff, you have your more goofy 80s slashers. Like, does Shaun of the Dead really separate itself that much from some of these, really? When you really think about Slumber Party Massacre 2 to Shaun of the Dead. Like, is it really any less of a horror movie than that is? Probably not.
No, certainly not.
And there's zombies and stuff. Shaun of the Dead is a great movie. Shaun of the Dead is full of dry British wit. It's Edgar Wright doing the first of his Cornetto trilogy. Now, the second two parts are not horror movies, of course, but the first one is a blast. And it's one that I saw when it came out, and it's grown on me a lot more as time has went on. And there's references to other zombie movies, there's all these things. Obviously, Simon Pegg and Nick Frost are a great duo. Oh, the whole cast is pretty good, though, to be honest. It's full of good moments, full of spoofing the old zombie stuff. But no.
It's a terrific love letter to the zombie genre, and yeah, I absolutely love this movie. I didn't put it on my list. There is just a weird, you know, line in my brain that kind of separates the horror from the horror comedies. But there's absolutely no reason why it shouldn't be on the list. But
and yet Leprechaun somehow prevailed.
It's a classic movie that will be told, spoken of for generations to come.
It's a classic piece of shit. What's your next number?
What are we on? 71? All right. So I went with Phantasm 2. So I don't want to go too much into it because
we're doing that
we haven't
relatively soon.
Yeah, but spoiler alert, I will say I'm a big fan of the Phantasm movies, and I think Phantasm 2 is a terrific sequel. So,
fair enough. I also enjoy Phantasm 2 quite a bit. Again, I won't say much, but I'll say that. My number 71. This is just the section where I upset Tim because he thinks all my picks are too low. The Witch is my number 71.
Oh my god. Oh, Jesus. All right.
What? These movies... so, The Witch, it's a great film. It's slow burn, very atmospheric. It's all about the tension. It's all about the dread. It's more about the fear of horror than it is the horror itself, if that makes any sense. It's almost convincing yourself there is something out there is what is the downfall of these characters, and it's kind of glorious. Very well told. Does need subtitles, I'll say that much. That's my one criticism. It's hard to understand half the things they bloody say, but that would be where I stand on it.
Wow, you got everything wrong. It's all about Black Phillip. That Black Phillip is the best, and that alone should get him,
the goat.
top 3 territory.
It's all about the goat. I've got your goat, Tim.
Yeah. I absolutely love this movie. Yeah, it's fantastic, and I'm happy you included it in the list at all because it's great, and we don't get a lot of these really like full on period horror pieces that much anymore.
I think what's notable actually is this is one that actually split the horror community down the middle. There's a good a good half of horror fans hated this movie because they thought it was too slow and they thought it was too uneventful.
The feeling that I got a lot from a lot of people is that as it started kind of trickling out and people are talking about it in their reviews and stuff, everyone's like, oh, it's so scary and stuff. And I feel like a lot of the people that didn't like it was because they were going with the expectation that they're gonna get the shit scared out of them. And also sometimes I feel like people want to sound brave, like they like to be like, oh, that movie didn't scare me, like, well, it didn't have to. Like you said, the atmosphere is so great. And
they went in expecting Annabelle creation.
Sure. Yeah.
And instead they got Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah.
Basically.
There you go.
To sort of compare it to some things, I guess. What are we on? Number 70. You're on number 70 first.
Yeah.
That's right.
So I actually chose...
yeah. No, I'm confusing myself. Go on.
Okay. So this is a movie, I forget if we did it last year, but when we reviewed it for the show, it was the first time I'd seen it, and I actually like it a lot. Another anthology movie, and that is the Tales from the Crypt movie. Yeah, it's a really good collection of, I forget if it was like 4 or 5 stories.
I think it was 5.
5, yeah, and some were better than others, but I thought the ones that were good really stood out. And I'm a big fan of Tales from the Crypt overall. I like the show, and this movie I think was pretty good as well.
Yeah, I didn't like it as much as you, I don't think. Although I did think some of the stories in there were pretty good, like pretty great. It's funny though because obviously we've been doing the show over the past year or so. And we're halfway through season 4. Now, the show has a lot of stinkers, but I do think, like, on the whole, it has a lot more, like, quality thing. Like, because there was 1 or 2 that we've seen done both in the movie and the show. And I think the show version was arguably the better version. But,
The show is definitely its own thing. And it adapts some of the ones that were in there for the show later on. But... yeah, I still think it. This is worth seeing. It's good.
Is your cat whistling?
No, my PlayStation just like turned on and started beeping. So,
okay, that's okay. It's better than what I thought was happening. I thought there was cats making like really weird noises for cats, and I say this as a person with cats. I know what they sound like. So that was your number 70, right?
70.
My number 70 is another. This is maybe the most recent film I have on the list. Actually, is Get Out.
Oh, okay.
Very new addition. This is a film that has a lot of scary moments. It has some really good characters. It has memorable moments. But I think ultimately why I praise it so much is because it's horror with a social conscience. It's horror from a perspective that I don't think I'd ever seen in a horror movie before, and that comes from having a more diverse, well, in this case, a black director, writer, writing a story about black characters. But it's just the idea of having a horror movie that isn't, all from white people is actually giving way to like, oh, here's a story that actually represents something that a group of people go through that I can't necessarily go through, but I understand the fear of it in this movie, and I think that alternate viewpoint's a fantastic way, and I hope we get more things like this, not just from this particular viewpoint, but from all types of viewpoint. Like, give me, give me an Asian director telling me, I mean, obviously we have Asian horror movies, so maybe that's not the best example, but like, give me different things like that. I think that's it. I think that enriches the I don't want to use the word diversity again, but just the idea of like how much horror we have to choose from, how varied it is, how much we have to consume. It's good for the overall genre, I think, to have different voices telling us scary things about different things that go on.
Oh yeah, 100%. And yeah, this actually kind of coined a new term, which is I forget if it was social horror or social thriller, but
social horror, I think. Which, funny enough, when Romero died, Peele kind of tweeted out he started it with a picture of, and he's kind of right. Night of the Living Dead, was also a social horror. If retroactively speaking, if you look at it and go, it was. It kind of fits into that as well. So,
but yeah, I agree though. This movie is fantastic.
Yeah, it's great.
All right. Well, my 69. We haven't done this on this show, but I think maybe we talked about it before, and you're not a fan, but I love my boy Raimi, and Drag Me to Hell I think is a pretty good movie. If there's one complaint I have about it is that there's some CGI stuff that when you watch it now it doesn't hold up. Otherwise though, I thought you were gonna.
I'm just making catty little noises just to sort of emphasize my reaction to it. I don't expect anything meaningful coming out of me.
Sorry. But no, I think it is a really good movie. I like the story. The characters are all good. It has like some classic Raimi-isms. And yeah, it's still one that I like to watch. Has really good goat scene in it. And,
that is the standard of which you grade your horror movies. Was there a good goat scene? There was. Oh, in that case, give it high points.
You don't need one to be a good horror movie, but man, it really helps if there is one.
Yeah, I don't remember a whole lot about the movie, honestly, other than a lot of vomiting. But I do remember just aspiring to be like Justin Long. Like, I remember watching it going, Justin Long, he's a role model for everyone out there. He has everything. He's a man who has everything, and you can't. No, I didn't like this all that much. Raimi ultimately has become a very hit and miss director for me, because there's, for every movie of his that I really like, there's some that I really don't like, and Drag Me to Hell, as much as I should have liked it, I just never get it. Was too. I think it was too over the top, but it never felt like it was like, Evil Dead. It has that feeling of we're not taking this too seriously. Whereas Drag Me to Hell has this odd mix of it's this really goofy over the top stuff with all the vomit and everything else, but then it feels like it's taking itself really seriously at the same time. And I don't know, it clashed for me. It clashed.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a weird mix where there is some definite, like, I say Raimi-isms because there are scenes in here that do remind me of like Evil Dead or something. But yeah, it doesn't go full out, Evil Dead. But I mean, that's fine though, because I still enjoyed what they did with it, and yeah, it's not the best, and it's certainly not as good as those movies, but I still enjoy it.
All right. My number 69. Now, again, this is favourites, so you're going to get some stupid movies above like I just had Get Out and The Witch as the last two movies. I'm not saying that this is a better movie. I'm saying that in my heart it holds a somewhat more special place. That's all I'm saying.
So when I do a preamble like this, you give me shit, but when you do it, it's going to be a great movie.
See, you can't even give me shit because this is one you've already had.
Okay.
This is Silent Night, Deadly Night. Oh no, you had two. You had part two. This is the first one, but same difference. It's mostly the same movie. Silent Night, Deadly Night is a stupid slasher movie set at Christmas about a kid who watched his parents get murdered by Santa Claus, and now he's an adult. He gets set off one night during Christmas Eve, and he's dressed as Santa, and he goes on a killing spree, and it is absolutely stupidly glorious. I love it. I watched this for the first time a few years ago. I get so into it. The kills, the way, what was it he shouts? He's like,
naughty or nice?
Yeah, he shouts like naughty just before he kills someone. It's great. Yeah. There's a great scene where someone who's sledding down a hill, and then his friend sleds down behind him, but when he gets to the bottom, he's decapitated. There's just some simple little things like that, and then the entire showdown's about the killer maybe coming for this orphanage full of nuns. It's just, I think it's a blast. It's a blast from start to finish. And a Santa costume for a slasher villain is actually oddly perfect. It just works. It's great. Yeah. So,
no, we did this for the show, right? I believe
we did. We did this at Christmas. Okay. 2 years ago now.
Yeah. So this is I love this movie, and like we mentioned on the first one of these videos, the only reason I picked the second one is because it's basically just the best parts of the first movie, and then with a few other parts added. But as cheesy and goofy as it is, this is a great, fantastic movie.
It's garbage day. Okay, 68, Tim.
All right, so you actually already brought this one up, but I have Southbound as my 68. Yeah, I mean, everything you said, it's great. Nice anthology movie from the last couple of years. And unlike most of the anthology movies that I like, there's a lot that I like, but I feel like they're more like just random stories kind of put together. This one actually does have a cohesive theme to it, and kind of storyline around it, which is really cool. And really good.
Cool. My 68 is the 1978 Invasion of the Body Snatchers. With your Jeff Goldblum, your Donald Sutherland, great stuff. Super creepy. You've got this ultimate sense of paranoia in the film as they're discovering who is and who isn't. That sound effect that they make when they're one of the snatchers and they're like, it's great stuff. Pure dread. And it's like I like the original. I like the 50s sci-fi movie. It's a good little 50s pulpy movie. Whereas this one takes it and says, no, we're going to make a gritty, scary 70s movie out of it. And it succeeds. It succeeds in improving on it. It succeeds in making it more tense and more scary. And I think it's one that you remember a lot of moments. You definitely remember the ending after you see this movie. So.
And I was just writing it down because I actually haven't seen that one. So.
Oh, there you go. What are we at now? Is that number 2, 3?
So that's 3 of yours I haven't seen.
Oh, I'm at 4 of yours. Oh. Yeah. But I've not had any of this video, so you know what? I'm making a comeback.
Yeah. But that is something I would like to watch, though. I've heard good things. I might even have it on I have one of those horror 4-pack that have 4 random movies on it, and that might be one of them.
I thought you were going to say you might have it on beta or something.
No. But I didn't realize Jeff Goldblum is in it. That makes me want to watch it even more.
Young Jeff Goldblum. Yeah.
Oh. Well, my 67. I'm not sure if you've seen this, but The Eye, and the original Asian one, not the Jessica Alba remake.
Why not the Jessica Alba? It's because it's higher. It's because the Alba one's higher on the list. That's why.
Oh yeah, of course. I didn't want to give away my number one. But,
exactly.
But no, this is fantastic, and I apologize. I forget the exact country it's from because
I believe it's Thailand, but I could be misremembering that.
that sounds about right. I know it's not Japanese because I feel like it came around that time when the Japanese movies like Ringu and Grudge and stuff, were getting big. And this was another big Asian one, but it's from a different country. But I like it a lot. I think it's super creepy. There's some scenes that are really effective in it, and a cool, interesting story. I don't know. Have you ever seen it or?
I have, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
You thought you had me pegged there, but no. Honestly, I don't remember it having much of an impression on me. I remember because I seen this after Dark Water, Ring, Grudge, a few other ones. And I remember thinking it was okay, but I don't remember it leaving a lasting impression. I'd probably need to see it again. I may have a different opinion if I watch it now.
It has been a while since I've seen it, so I'm going off my memory. And if I watch it now, I think I'd still like it, but maybe the placement might be different. But
if there's one thing I know not to trust, Tim, it's your memory.
One of the reasons why it does stick out to me though is I do remember this came at a time where I'd still love horror movies, but I was jaded on not being scared by them. And again, not that that's a problem. You don't have to be scared by horror movies to enjoy them. But I remember there was one particular scene when I watched this that like late at night with the lights out really creeped me out, and it had just been so long since something legitimately creeped me that that always stood out in my memory.
My number 67 is Child's Play 2.
Ooh.
Yeah. Which, if you were following our Child's Play reviews and our Chucky reviews, you'll know this is my favourite of the franchise. Now, admittedly, I decided it was too soon to decide. Call of Chucky could have cracked the 100. But it was too soon. It was we'd literally just done it as I was finalising the list. I couldn't just, you have to let it sit for a while. You have to give it some time. You have to see how you feel about it after a little bit. But that is a chance of maybe scraping onto the 100 at a later date. Child's Play 2, I think, is the pinnacle of the Chucky franchise. I think it takes what worked in the first one, but it puts it into a more fun, just from start to finish slasher movie where he's doing his, because the first movie hides that he's alive, because it wants to build the mystery, is this doll actually alive? But the second movie, right from the get-go, he's coming after Andy. The characters are a bit more colourful. The deaths are more fun. The finale, the big third act kind of chase, is in a really cool location. It's kind of everything I want from a Child's Play movie.
Yeah, I like this movie a lot, and especially after watching all of them so close together, I feel like I have a little bit of a renewed appreciation for it, because I've always liked the Chucky movies, but they've never really stood out in my mind. But doing them recently, it's they've definitely grown on me a lot more.
Yeah, cool.
All right. Oh boy. So you're probably gonna be mad at me, not for the movie, but for the placement. But I mean, screw you. You had the witch way too low. But my 66 is Nightmare on Elm Street 3: The Dream Warriors. This franchise in general is great, and this sequel in particular, really, really good. If you like Nightmare, then you probably love this one. It's cool to actually. It's not just another random group of teenagers that are being tormented. I mean, they are to an extent, but they're also they're kind of like these warriors, in.
What you mean? You mean like Dream Warriors?
Yeah.
God damn it! But it's a shambles.
But it's cool that they are bringing the fight, to Freddy, and works on the mythology, and
also
it brings Nancy back.
It has the best line of dialogue in the entire franchise.
Oh yeah, welcome to Primetime, bitch. Of course.
Welcome to Primetime, bitch.
But yeah, this is a really, 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 really fun movie. Great sequel. Again, this is another one where I'll probably watch it this October. It's just one of those perennial ones that's, if I'm going to put on a Nightmare, this is probably going to be one of the ones.
And by the way, if you watch the Saw reviews and you like my bad Jigsaw impression, I promise you, whenever we get around to the Nightmare movies, the bad Freddy Krueger impression will be coming out. Very well. My number 66 is Ringu, or The Ring, to put it into English.
Oh my god.
What, are you upset this is too low?
No, I'm getting flashbacks from when we did all the Ringu movies.
Oh, sure. Yeah, but the first one was good. The rest, not so much.
Yeah, I don't know. When we rewatched that, I wasn't as into it, but it's
fair enough. But I actually do think the first one is a pretty good, tense movie with a good sense of mystery. Killer ending, killer kind of tone throughout the whole thing. You know, it's filled with dread. You feel like there's no hope for any of the characters, but it works. It has this kind of almost like a Lovecraftian kind of like Cthulhu kind of cosmic dread, where it doesn't matter what they do, they're screwed.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I like about it. I'm going to let my cat in because he scratched at the door, as Tim tells you his number 65, and it better be good or I'll be upset.
Okay. Well, just going off one last thing about the Ringu, definitely out of all the movies, it certainly is the best. Now, my 65 is a little movie I like to call Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight. So this is maybe the more recognized Tales from the Crypt movie, possibly. It's super 90s, like hot off the heels of the TV show. But if you like the show, I think you would like this movie. Again, been saying it a lot, but this movie, a ton of fun, really cool kills. Billy Zane at his zaniest. This is a great movie. I can't wait for when we do it, which I'm sure we're gonna do. I mean, we've done the first movie. We're doing the TV show. I'm sure we'll do this at some point.
Yeah, so sometime 2027 maybe.
Jesus.
I've not seen this, so that's 5 I've not seen of yours.
What? Holy shit!
This one shocks you. This one shocks you.
I don't. What the? I am shocked. I cannot believe it. Wow.
I'm pretty sure you knew this anyway. I'm pretty sure when we started doing Tales from the Crypt.
No, I don't think I knew this.
Yeah, and we watched the movie. I'm pretty sure I said I've never seen any Tales from the Crypt before.
I think I assumed the TV show.
Yeah.
I mean, I figured everyone's seen this movie.
Now, of course, we're now halfway through season 4 and reviewing it, so I've seen a lot of it now. Like now I'm a intermediate in Tales from the Crypt. But yeah, I've not seen Demon Knight. I do apologize, Tim, if that upsets you. My number 65.
I'm really looking forward to when we do it.
My number 65, going a bit more recent again, is The Invitation.
Oh, okay.
This is a film about paranoia. It's about this couple who are invited to this dinner party with the man's ex-wife, and it is awkward as shit. And the great thing about this movie is that for very much of it, and I won't spoil it obviously one way or the other, but for very much of it, you're not really sure if there is actually something horror related going on, or if our main character is just paranoid. And it plays it very close to the chest, and it could go either way at almost any point, and it's kind of glorious. And you're not really sure, like, are we just in his head and he's being delirious, or, it really plays with that, and it's a really well directed, really good slow burn of a horror movie. I highly recommend it.
I love this movie, and I don't want to say anything else about it, because if you haven't seen it, just go in without knowing anything else. It's fantastic.
Exactly.
All right, so what are we, 64? All right, that would be In the Mouth of Madness. This is
Coming from the Mouth of Madness.
I feel like it's a lesser loved John Carpenter movie, but I think it's really good. Actually, another movie that kind of plays off, someone kind of going insane. It stars Sam Neill as a horror author who's kind of stuck in this town where all this weird stuff is going on, and it's meta. It has cool effects, and it's really, really, if you like Carpenter, I think it's definitely worth checking out.
And for legal reasons, he's not named Stephen King.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I don't love this movie. I'd heard a lot of good things before I'd seen it, and for whatever reason, it didn't really work for me when I watched it.
I like it a lot. Obviously Carpenter is a master, and it's hard.
I love John Carpenter, for the record. Yeah. Like, it's not like I don't typically love his movies, because I do.
Yeah.
But that's just, I don't know, for whatever reason. My number 64 is The Strangers.
Okay.
From 2008. This is a home invasion movie about three characters with masks who invade the home of Liv Tyler and her boyfriend. And my cat is making a chaos of desk. But yeah, and it's just it's a movie that loves to just have the villain creep into the background and just stand there watching as the hero does something. I think it's a very effective movie, and they're actually just gearing up for a sequel that's coming out next year now. Whether or not it'll be any good is another question, but I like the first one quite a bit.
I want to rewatch this because I saw it in the theaters and I remember not being that into it, but it's something like that I've heard a lot of people talk about how much they love it afterwards. So I don't know. I wouldn't mind giving it a second shot. But
well,
yeah.
After I completely changed your mind on Texas Chainsaw 3D, clearly you should listen to me a bit more.
I don't think it was you that changed my mind, but
trust in me.
All right. Well, my 63, another anthology movie. Man, I really like anthology movies. And also another Stephen King movie, and that is Cat's Eye. This is a really.
Do you know what? See, when you said another anthology and it's a Stephen King movie, I thought I was sure of what you were about to say, which means that the movie I was thinking of is still coming later on, and Cat's Eye somehow in the list.
Now, have you seen this? Because this should be up your alley. It is an anthology horror movie that is, what do you call it? Connected by a cat. The cat is like the hero in the movie. It's pretty awesome. Again, some of the stories are better than others, but I really like the third one, which has a very almost like a kind of horror family friendly kind of feel to it, like I guess kind of Gremlins-ish, or that kind of Steven Spielberg Amblin kind of feeling, which is cool. And the other stories aren't bad either, and again, a lot of cat in it.
You started that paragraph, have you seen this? And then you went on for about 5 minutes without letting me talk. The answer is yes, I have seen this.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember a lot of it. The only story I remember of the whole thing, and I do remember enjoying this story, but I don't know if I did enjoy any of the other ones, is there's a story where the entire thing is a guy on a ledge.
Oh, right.
Outside of a building, trying not to fall to his death and sneak around. Yeah. I remembered enjoying that one, but I don't remember the rest of it. But I do remember the cat running around. The cat was good. Yeah. But that was about it. So, what are we on 63? My number 63. We're apparently in the they haven't all been this part, but I feel like I've had a lot of recent movies in this chunk, because I think when I like a recent movie a lot, it very rarely gets shot too far high up the list. Like it gets a little bit of a probation period lower down, and I'll see how it holds up over time. But the second newest film on this list for me at number 63 is Split, which is the glorious return of M. Night Shyamalan's better half, because he's got a dark side that makes really bad movies, and he was making really bad movies for a while. And then somehow out of nowhere, he just kind of proved that he can kind of still do it. And of course, there's some reveals in this that really excited me because of other movies I love. But I think it's very well. I think McAvoy's great as this character who plays 27 different people, and he plays everyone so differently. There's some really great stuff. That's not to say there's not without falls. I do think the exposition lady is really bad, but the rest of it I think is really solid. It actually subverts some of the tropes that I thought it would do with the way the characters act to each other, or act towards each other, I should say. So, no, I give Split a placement at number 63. Higher Than the Witch does its thing.
Ugh, Jesus. Yeah, I'm not into this movie. It's definitely the best Shyamalan's been in a long time, but and McAvoy was great, I'll give him that, but it really didn't do that much for me.
Just wait until we get to the visit.
Oh, God.
I'm bluffing, Tim. I'm bluffing. Just calm down.
Yeah, okay. My 62 is maybe the first, classic movie we've had on our list, but that would be The Invisible Man. I really like the Universal monster movies, and this one surprisingly really good. I always kind of thought The Invisible Man was lame, growing up, because if you don't really watch it, you just kind of think like, man, he turns invisible, so what? But when you watch the movie, it's actually very effective.
Think of all the mischief you could get up to when you're invisible. This is again an example of Tim being a stupid child. He didn't really understand the possibilities.
I don't want a monster that's gonna get into mischief. Like sure, it's cool if you want to like spy on people and I don't know, see where someone hides their cookies or something, but it's not the best trait for a monster. When you want a cool looking monster, it's like, oh yeah, let's go with the person I can't see. But this movie is actually really cool, and just thinking of this scene where he unwraps himself in front of like all the angry villagers, it's pretty dang good.
I like The Invisible Man a lot. I shall leave it there.
Okay.
My number 62 is Friday the 13th, Part 2.
Okay.
This is the one with the sackhead Jason. And as you said in the last couple of videos, we have actually just started working our way through these. So we'll be doing Friday the 13th Part 2 next month. So I will not say much on it. I shall simply say that it is arguably the most effective in the franchise at being a horror movie. It may have some of the best sort of tension and scares, as well as having your traditional kind of slasher sort of characters and that kind of thing. Plus, he kills someone in a wheelchair, and it is absolutely glorious. And I say that as someone who grew up in a house with someone in a wheelchair. It's okay. You have permission to enjoy the wheelchair kill. Okay, I'm giving you permission. It's fine. But no. And Sackhead, as much as I love the hockey mask, Sackhead is a pretty creepy look. I can't deny it has. It's got a good look to it. So, Part 2.
Well, yeah, I won't say much because, like you said, we'll be doing it shortly, and also, honestly, I don't remember much. So,
you remember the wheelchair kill though? Now that I've said it's the one in the wheelchair kill, you remember what that wheelchair kill is though, right?
Sure. That's the one where he flies off the cliff into the ravine below, and then his little alien friend has to pull him out.
Don't you dare confuse Mac and me with Friday the 13th Part 2. No. Stairs, Tim. Stairs. Stairs.
Okay. I'll refresh myself after. Look it up.
Alright, what's your number 61 then?
So I mentioned the sequel in the first video. Now I'm going to mention the original, and that would be Return of the Living Dead. I, again, love this movie a lot. Really, the other spectrum of the zombie movie where, Night of the Living Dead and Romero stuff, it's doing this heavy social commentary, and Return of the Living Dead is just like full on fun. It's funny, it's cheesy, it kind of has like a cool, almost like punk rock vibe to it. A lot of really good gore, and I love it. Again, these are movies that I can watch pretty much any time. It's always get enjoyment out of them.
Yeah, I enjoy the Return of the Living Dead movies. This is weird. People will hate me for saying this, but I actually kind of like 2 more than 1. And like no one has that opinion. Everyone, because one's seen as the this is the fun movie, like this it feels original. It is poking fun at things. Whereas 2 is admittedly a very sort of, this is just a generic zombies invade a suburban area movie. Like there's no kind of wit to it. But for whatever reason, I just always kind of like the second one. But the first one is pretty good. It's got fun characters. It's got it plays with the zombie tropes. It doesn't take itself seriously. But no, so it's fun. I do enjoy it.
They're pretty close for me. Like I wouldn't fault anyone for liking one more than the other. I would say this one's like a little bit of a better movie, but they're both pretty close. It does really piss me off that they don't have the second one on Blu-ray. I have a nice like special edition for the first one. I know they put the third one out on Blu-ray. Where the hell is the second one? Why do they do this to me?
The third one's okay.
I just really remember that was like one of those like staples of anytime I'd go like to the video store. That VHS cover really sticks out to me, the third one.
Well, that's because if you're like 11, 12-year-old boy and you see Belinda Clark on the front cover, you're like, oh, what's this? Yeah. And she is naked for a lot of that movie, so I mean, like, you know, if you're that age, well, that's going to be exciting for you, then you know you get something out of it. What are we on? 61. My number 61 is Demons 2.
Ooh.
Which is a movie in which zombies come out of the TV, not to be confused with The Video Dead, which is a movie that's pretty bad. It's so bad it's good, to be honest. It's kind of a funny movie. But Demons 2 is a sequel to, obviously, Demons. Demons, the premise was that it was a movie theatre, and the zombies came out of a movie theatre, and that movie's kind of fun. I actually like Demons 2 a lot more. Demons 2, to me, because it's set in an apartment building, and it's all the TVs in the apartment building have this happen. So you have all these cookie characters who are all in their own areas, and then they all kind of congregate, and then they try and survive. It's kind of a classic sort of survival zombie movie in an apartment building, and I kind of like it. But it's got that Italian charm to it. It's got that Italian kind of gore to the kills and stuff. And I really like the ending.
Do they never make a third one where demons come out of computers? Because it feels like that's a missed opportunity.
Not to my knowledge, but it feels like, you know...
Yeah. You know, the time is right.
I feel like Demons 3...
Cyber Wars.
No, but Demons 3, you dead, or you...
The www.demons.com.
I'm trying to think of a word that means dead that kind of rhymes with tube so that I can make the pun work, but it's not happening.
I don't
you shoot? You crud? No, it's not happening. Alright, it's motion number 60. Have you seen this though?
I think I did, but I honestly don't remember much about it. I know I saw the first one for sure.
Count it. That's number 4.
Okay.
We're not. No, none of this. Oh, I think it might have done. Maybe in another life. No.
I know for sure I've seen the first one. Yeah, this one. I'm not sure. All right. My 60 is, I mean, you know, I mentioned, you know, having some classics on here, and I can't think of any other word to describe this movie, but Sleepaway Camp. That's
a swear. Yes, I agree. That's a swear.
Who can forget their first time seeing this movie? The twists and turns.
Honestly, it's a pretty okay to decent slasher movie, and then the ending hits you like a truck. And it's funny because I don't think you could get away with making this now. I feel like the ending would be seen as somewhat insensitive now.
Yeah, I get that argument. I feel like that's not like what the filmmakers were going for.
Oh,
like,
it's not.
I don't think...
It's definitely not. It's not meant to be that at all. But I just think it would be taken in a not so great way now. Whereas the ending, it's so stupid. It looks so goofy as well, the way it's done, that I don't think you can take it any way other than just the stupidity of it. But you got a monster in the room that you're trying to catch?
There's a slight rumbling. I don't know if we had maybe a small earthquake or something. I don't know.
I don't know. It was just the cat's farm. That's all it was.
Oh, sure.
They'll fart it inside.
It's very like, there's a lot of times here where we'll get like, you'll just have like a short little rumbling or something, and you won't think anything of it, and then like the next day you'll see that people are like, oh yeah, did you feel the earthquake yesterday? And you're like, oh, that was an earthquake.
I feel like if I feel a little rumble, I'll go, oh, I must be hungry. Time to go and get some food.
Well, this is more like the floorboards, but I don't know. Could have been maybe someone moving something downstairs. I don't know.
What was your movie again?
Sleepaway Camp.
There you go. That's what it was.
Yeah, it's great though. It's it makes me laugh a ton. The characters in it are so like over the top and say the wrong things, and it's kind of glorious in that way. And on top of that though, like even like with that stuff aside, it's a decent slasher. Like,
yeah, it's a pretty decent slasher. But I think the reason why it's remembered is the ending.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So what are we on? Number 60. My number 60. Oh, we have some crossover here just from this video alone. Creep.
Nice. Yeah, I knew you liked it.
Yes. Unfortunately, you're right. Yes, but yeah. So Mark Duplass plays the crazy guy who hires this guy to come and film him. But over the course of the scenes, like, he starts doing some weird things, and he kind of explains it away, but then it keeps getting weirder. And it goes to some pretty great places. It justifies the found footage by the plot. It also does a lot of creepy things with it, and it introduced me to the magic that was Peach Fuzz. I will not tell you what Peach Fuzz is. You will have to watch Creep to find out what Peach Fuzz is. But Peach Fuzz is life.
Indeed.
So there you go.
My 59, I wouldn't say it's like the craziest movie we've done, but I think it would maybe crack the top 5, if not the top 10 for sure.
Well, the number one craziest movie we've done was easily Evil Within, and that was last
without
week.
Without a doubt. Yeah, it's not that, don't worry.
Yeah. And then God Told Me To, maybe at number 2, possibly.
Okay. But yeah, this would be Neon Maniacs. I love this movie. It is so bizarre, and I kind of love how it really almost never attempts to explain what the creatures are, what they're doing, why they're weak against water.
We actually did this for Octoberthon last year, and I still don't understand. At the start of the movie, a character finds like a series of playing cards, trading cards. It's like trading cards, almost like a, I don't know, like any like trading
like Garbage
card.
Pail Kids or something.
Yeah, or Pokemon, or whatever. Yeah. Take your pick. Of the Neon Maniacs, of these demons that attack people, and it's never explained. There's never any reason why there would be trading cards of these characters. It's so bizarre. But it is a pretty fun movie.
Yeah.
Didn't make my list, but I think it's a good time.
Yeah, this is another one. Like, again, I'm not gonna try to say like, oh, this is a amazingly well made movie or anything, but it brings me pure joy. The craziness, the characters, the musical number. It's a lot of fun. If you haven't seen it and you love like 80s cheesiness, I think this is like the heights of that.
So at the same place he has Neon Maniacs at number 59, I have The Exorcist.
Very comparable film.
Yes, very, very similar, of course. Exorcist is a fantastic film. I don't think I have to say that. In fact, in terms of the well-known classics, it might be like the lowest one here, because as much as I love The Exorcist, I don't have it up near the top, clearly, and that's because it's really great. But it's just in terms of its premise, it doesn't appeal to me as much as the higher stuff. But it is probably the best possession movie that exists. Purely, it's full of great, and it's a very grounded horror film. It really treats everything like it is set in the real world, and like this thing might exist, but like we don't really believe it at first. And as the movie goes on, and you bring the characters in, and then you have Tubular Bells, the music playing, as its main theme, which is a fantastic theme for a horror movie. And it's good of really chilling things. So I think the fact that it is so grounded, it feels like it's set in a gritty sort of New York in the 70s. It really works for it. So The Exorcist.
Yeah, I absolutely love this movie. It is though one of those ones that like it's kind of hard to just like put on, like it's like sometimes if it's like Friday night and you're like, oh, let me throw in a horror movie, it's usually not going to be like something like that. It is a heavy watch.
Yeah, it's a heavy watch. Absolutely, it's very, very. It pounds on you as it goes. You don't get a chance to breathe in the same way that you would in a horror movie. Yeah. So,
and so my 58, again, one that you mentioned a little earlier, and that would be Get Out. And
Get Out.
Yeah. Also might be the newest movie on my list, I think. We talked about it earlier. It's great. Does a lot of really cool new stuff that's especially relevant nowadays, and definitely worth watching if you haven't seen it.
My 58, I might get something thrown at me from Tim here, because you'll think this is a touch low, but my number 58 is Ju-on the Grudge.
Oh my god.
This is
At least you have it on there, I guess.
That's true.
Yeah.
But no, I think this is a great spooky horror movie. It's full. It's basically, there's not a whole lot of plot, which is maybe why it's not a ton higher. But in terms of just pure, let's scare the shit out of the audience. Let's have scary things happening. Let's have, you know, the long creepy hair. Let's have, you know, the things under the bed. Like all these things. It's full of great little. It's basically a series of short movies that are all connected by a series, like a theme, like an incident that caused them all. But it's generally creepy. There's a reason why it became like a remade and had sequels in both the original and the remake and all these things. Now, sure, a lot of them aren't that great, but that said, I'll say the sequels to this fare a little bit better than the sequels to The Ring do.
Oh yeah,
I'll give it that much. So, that's the thing. Also, the creepy little boy with the sound. It's good stuff.
Well, the boy meows. It's the woman that does that, the kind of croaky sound.
I do apologise. So not only have I got it too low for you, I've insulted you by getting the character who does the noise wrong. I do apologise so much, Tim.
It's all right. I'm glad you just put it on the list though, because a lot of people I know, like, not that they don't like, I just don't think many people think about it that much, which is a shame because I love it, and that's all I'll say about it because it'll probably show up later.
Yes. At number 57, which is next.
Ooh, maybe. No. Of course, I had to get another Stephen King movie in here. So my 57, 1408, a movie I like quite a bit. That, yeah, I don't know if a lot of other people have seen it or just don't like it, because I don't hear people talk about it that much, but it's really good. John Cusack is kind of like a paranormal debunker. He decides to spend a night in this haunted hotel, and it does a lot of really cool, creepy stuff. I like that it kind of takes place in this very secluded location, and it's just like a really good classic, ghost movie.
This is a bad joke, and I apologize in advance. So he's a paranormal debunker. Does that mean he takes apart supernatural bunk beds?
No, no, but I would be willing to watch a movie about that.
Why not? Unfortunately, I've not seen this one, so that's me at 6.
Nice. Ooh, I'm excited to do that one.
Yeah, I can't combat that with anything. My 57 is the original The Omen.
Oh, okay.
It's funny actually that I've got this and Exorcist so close together, because they're kind of both the religious themed horror movies of the 70s that are considered classics. I like The Omen a lot. The Omen just edges out a little bit. I like the investigative angle towards it. I like the sort of the slow belief that the child, Damien, is the child of the devil and he is evil and is causing all this chaos around him. And it has some right shocking moments. Everyone remembers that the babysitter or the nanny like hanging herself at the party. Like, and that's not a spoiler. That's like the opening chunk of the movie.
Yeah.
That's the first bad thing that really happens. And it's like this slow thing where anyone who tries to interfere supernaturally might meet their end, and it's just I like it a lot. And you got Gregory Peck, who really elevates the movie because his acting kind of sells it in a lot of way. But no, and Richard Donner, of course, who went on to direct a lot of movies that I love. None of them horror movies. This was the only horror movie that he did, to my knowledge anyway. But like, he went on to do Lethal Weapon, Superman, The Goonies, a bunch of stuff. But this is great.
I can't tell you how many times I've had to explain to people that my cat is named Damien after the DC character, not the Omen character.
I think to regular people is more well known. To be fair though, me being a DC fan, if you said Damien to me, the first person I think of is Damian Wayne, the Robin. But hey ho.
All right. Yeah, that's a good movie. I don't have much else to say about it though.
Why are you even on a podcast? What's your number 56?
That would be a little movie I like to call Cemetery Man.
God damn it, I'm at 7 now. Jesus Christ, Tim, you and your weird picks.
Yeah, this is a really cool, very somber, I believe, Italian horror movie. It's been a while since I seen it now, but It's like basically it's about this guy who is like the caretaker at a cemetery, and he kind of has to guard it because people that get buried there tend to come back up. But it's really good. It has like weird like Italian kind of romance stuff mixed with zombies, and it looks cool and has like some good effects and gore. And it's again another movie I don't see a lot of people talking about, and I'd really recommend it if anyone's at all interested.
I actually was looking at this as to maybe watch this month because I needed one more '90s movie for my Octoberthon points that we do in the Mail Fuzz group, and I ended up going with something else just out of I don't know. I saw this other movie and thought, ooh, I'll try that. I've not watched it yet, but I made a point of getting access to it. But hey ho, well, maybe someday we'll do it on streams and I can see what the fuss is about. What number are we on?
56.
Okay, now here's another Asian horror film for you. This is the original Dark Water. It's my number 56, and this was actually one of the first, not only Asian horror films I've seen. This was one of the first foreign films I watched.
Oh wow!
Like I vividly remember like picking this up in a store because I was like, oh, why can't I try some of these Asian horror movies and stuff, and try. But I'd never really watched any subtitle movies before, so I went, you know what, I'm going to do it. I'm going to buy this one. This looks cool. And it's from the same director as The Ring, actually, the original Ring, and I love this. That's almost, I think, almost because it was the first one I watched. A lot of the tropes that are in these Japanese horror movies, like it worked on me the best it ever was going to because it was the first time. Like this otherworldly sort of feeling to it because it was made in a completely different culture, gave it this feeling that was just so unique to me at the time, and that's kind of stuck with me. But I do think it's a genuinely good little movie. It's got a lot of really tense stuff, really good ghost scares, and a good sort of pacing building up to its big climax. So, Dark Water, the original, not the 2005 one with Jennifer Connelly in it, not that one.
Yeah, I don't know. This one's a little slow for me. I didn't.
Oh,
it's okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's too slow. Like The Witch.
No, The Witch is fantastic. I'm on the edge of my seat when I watch that.
Yes.
A lot like I'm on the edge of my seat for my 55th pick, and oh baby, that would be Dead Alive, the insane Peter Jackson zombie kung fu priest.
Just for clarification, this is also known as Brain Dead, in case the audience knows it
sure.
is that. Because that's actually, I think, what I know it of as first. But
yeah, I don't know if it's I think Dead Alive maybe is the U.S. release and Brain Dead is the original.
I don't even
UK.
know anymore. It's an Australian movie. So it's a New Zealand movie.
New Zealand.
I should be specific, but
yeah, this is like a lot of zany antics. If you like Evil Dead, it has a lot of crazy slapstick stuff in it, and yeah, just another one that really puts a smile on my face when I watch.
I actually just watched this for the first time last October.
Oh, nice.
It did not make my list, but I did have a blast, and it was full of basically like it had such a weird tone. I wasn't sure how to feel about it for the first like half of it, but the final like 30 minutes that is nothing but a bloodbath just sort of upswung it into like, okay, I had fun with that. Yes, I will come back for seconds at some point. Thank you.
Using a chainsaw to just mow zombies down is fantastic. Or not a chainsaw, lawnmower. Sorry.
Lawnmower, yeah, I was just saying.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
You're misremembering one of your favorite movies here, Tim. That's not correct. My number 55.
I was visualizing lawnmower. But...
My number 55 is an absolute masterpiece. Chopping Mall.
Oh, okay. All right.
That when it comes to goofy movies, when it comes to like, oh, like you like a movie that's not really that good, but you love it, like unashamedly, Chopping Mall is the top of the list. This is set in a shopping mall. I mean, that's probably obvious, but it's a slightly futuristic shopping mall. They have robots for security guards, and then one night they're struck by lightning and they go insane and they start murdering a group of 20-something employees who decide to sneak in after dark for a party in one of the stores because they don't have their own house to go to. I think they may be teenagers, but I don't know. Like, some of the ones who show up feel like they're in their 20s, and then there's other ones who act like they're teenagers. It's really weird, but they all basically, share this department store and have a bit of an orgy. But then the killer robots start coming after them, and it is glorious. They're running from killer robots, the robots are firing lasers at them, there's, like, head explosions, there's artillery, there's electrocutions. It is an absolute blast. It is, like, the best way to spend 75 minutes. It is fantastic. I love it. Obviously it's not good, like, in an objective sense or in a traditional sense, but if you like goofy 80s movies, this is, like, the pinnacle. It is up there.
Yeah, this is a blast. I really love this movie. I think I saw it for the first time last year, even.
And somehow we've not done it in screamers yet. Trust me, it is coming one day. we have to. There's no national holidays that go with shopping mall. We have to fit it in somewhere.
Is there if there's like a tax refund day or something where...
Is there a national capitalist day, maybe?
Black Friday, maybe?
That's not the worst idea, actually. Black Friday for shopping mall. That's not the worst idea I've heard.
All right, so my 54... you might have mentioned this on the first video, I don't remember, but Insidious 3, I really...
I did not, but it didn't miss the cut by much. It did not miss the cut by much.
I really, really like this movie. I think it does some really, really effective scares. Like, there are a few, cheap jump scares, but there's also some really good, quiet, somber ones. I like the story, and again, just it doesn't like super break the mold from what we kind of come to expect with these movies, but it does what it does really well, and I really dig them.
It was a directorial debut as well. The guy, it was like he wrote the first two, and then he wrote the third one and directed it. And I like Insidious Chapter 3. I think it's a really good example of taking it forward into a similar story, but keeping it relatively standalone. I'm looking forward to the fourth one, even though the trailer's not that great, but I think it's just the way the trailer's cut, because they have to sell it as a horror movie. So I'm hoping that I enjoy it, but certainly out of the stuff that's currently running, Insidious is kind of my franchise. I look forward to those installments, and I like 3 more than 2, absolutely. So I would say that's a pretty decent pick. My number 54 is a classic, which I feel like most people have not seen, and that is Carnival of Souls.
Okay. Yeah, I actually haven't seen it. So
yeah, there you go, number 5. Write it down. Carnival of Souls is a 1962 film about a woman who's in a car accident, and she's the only one in the car who survives. Everyone else dies, and it's kind of her fault they went in there in the first place. And throughout the rest of the movie, she is tormented by these spirits, not of the people who died that she knew, just random spirits. And it's kind of just her slowly feeling like she's going crazy, and what does it all mean? But it's beautifully shot. We talk about how silence is scarier than noises. This film absolutely kills it with silent stuff. There's times when the entire movie will lose sound, and you can just hear her, even though it's on a busy street. And it is like, I have never seen a movie get so creepy in broad daylight in the middle of a street before, but it kind of does it. It's really effective, beautiful black and white filmmaking. We've not done it in streams yet, but I have no doubt we will at some point. That is Carnival of Souls. I recommend it.
Oh, well, you sold me. I'll definitely want to see it. My 53, I gotta give some love to my boy GDT.
Go on.
So that would be Kronos, his first movie, or if not his first, close to it. But I like this movie a lot. Not my favorite of his, but I don't really consider all of his horror. And this one does like kind of a cool, like, I don't know if you would call it a vampire movie. It's kind of vampire-y, but not like the typical vampires that we're kind of used to. But if you know like Guillermo del Toro, he has a very specific style, which doesn't work for everybody, but I love it. And it's one of his earlier films, so I feel like you don't get his full visual style yet, but you can kind of see it here. And I love it.
I have seen this one. I don't remember a whole lot of it. I wasn't super into it though, I will say. But Guillermo del Toro is someone who that I like as a person a lot more than I like as a filmmaker. And the films of his that people tend to love are the ones that I tend to just be kind of not that into. Whereas the ones that people are really mixed on, like Pacific Rim and Mimic, are the ones that I have a blast with and I'm all about. But I actually blind bought the Criterion Blu-ray of this when I watched it, and then I was so
The Criterion has a beautiful Mike Mignola drawn cover.
It did, yes, but I was so lukewarm on it, and Criterions are quite pricey, so I sold it to recoup my losses.
I have the Criterion, but I believe it's the DVD. I haven't upgraded yet. But like you said, it's expensive. I have the DVD.
What were we on? 53. My number 53, relatively recent film, Don't Breathe.
Oh, okay.
This came out in 2016, last year, and this is a film about a small group of thieves, one of whom's a complete prick. The other two are kind of a bit more sympathetic, and they break into the house of a blind man, played by Stephen Lang. And unfortunately for them, he is like one of the most capable blind men ever. So we get a lot of like them sneaking around, trying not to make noise so he doesn't know where they are. And it is absolutely glorious. It is one of these fun high concept horror movies, like, oh, what if it's a blind man and it's all these like sneaking around. It takes twists and turns about halfway through that you don't really see coming. That adds a whole dimension to it. There's some great stuff in the dark. There's some great stuff with sound. Really good stuff. Great performances as well from Lang and Jane Levi, who's the main girl, who I like a lot. So I recommend Don't Breathe. It's good.
Yeah, it's really good. I feel like a lot of times we'll have a complaint with a movie that has a really good premise but doesn't go as far with it as we want, or doesn't do much with it. And luckily this was one that really delivered on what its premise was. And they managed to do a lot of really cool things with it.
Yeah.
All right, so my 52, I think you mentioned in the first video, I could be wrong, but Martyrs, really terrific, French horror film that, again, the less you know with this one, the better. It is, if you don't know anything about it, I think it's pretty unexpected where it ends up going. Some really, really gross, disturbing stuff in it. It's a movie I really like that I own, but I don't know if I'll ever watch again. It's hard to kind of get in the mood for it. But it's definitely deserving of like a one-time watch if you've never seen it.
Cool. No, I did pick this in the first video, so I've said my piece already. So it's very good. That's all I'll say. 52 for me is the original House on Haunted Hill. Vincent Price is a glorious little film that is goofy in certain places. It has fun with what it's doing, has some cool twists, and Vincent Price absolutely nails it. He's got these people visiting this house, and he tells them all, "Oh, I'll pay you however much money if you can all last till morning without getting scared and leaving." And it's fun. It plays with their expectations, and it's a really just entertaining movie that has fun with what you expect of it.
I don't think I've seen this one, so I wrote it down.
Yes, we're only one apart now. 7 to 6. 76 Tim. Oh yes, I'm back in the game.
Again, I might have seen. My problem is I feel like I always get these movies confused, like this and The Haunting, and it's like The Haunting of Hell House. Is that another one, or Hell House is that one?
No,
or is that the book that it's based on?
That's the book that it's based on.
Okay. Yeah, these kind of like old timey black and white haunted house movies. Like, not saying that they're bad, but kind of get them confused.
This
sometimes.
One is very different. I think once you've seen this, it will be distinct in your head because of where it goes.
Okay, because I know The Haunting we did on the show.
Yes, The Haunting we did, but this we have not, and we will at some point because it's very, very good. So what's your last pick for the video, Tim? Number 51.
All right. So we actually recently just did this for the show, which it's a movie that I like, but I made the list before we rewatched it, and if I redid the list, it'd still be on there, but probably lower. But
Oh,
that would be The Howling. It's we just did a
whoa, yeah, this is a super bitter pick because we were really negative on this when we talked about this.
I still really like kind of the big takeaway from the review when we did it is that we really like the beginning, and well, I don't want to speak for both of us, but we kind of had a consensus. But basically, I love the beginning. I love the ending. It's definitely draggy in the middle. So I still really like it though. I'd probably have it lower on the list. If I made some adjustments after watching it again, but I still think it deserves on there.
Yeah,
to be on there.
I think this is one where you made that out of memory, and then you watched it again and went, "Oh no, this is not as good as I thought it was."
Yeah,
I don't think it does deserve to be on a top 100, to be honest. But I won't fight you on it too much.
I think it's still worth watching. Like there is still good stuff on there.
No, it's worth watching, but it's not top 100. There's lots of movies that I didn't make my list that are worth watching. That's not the question here, Tim. But that's fine. So my last video for the episode, number 51 for me, is The Descent, which came out in 2005, and it's a group of cave divers, cave explorers, spelunkers. Spelunkers, that's the word I was looking for. Who go up to this remote cave, and it's never been explored, and they end up down there. They get kind of trapped, and then eventually there are sort of monsters in the cave. What I love about this movie, though, is how it's directed, and the fact that even before there's ever an enemy, this movie is terrifying because they get trapped, and it's really, if you're claustrophobic, this movie will make you have a heart attack. It plays with those tight, dark spaces. They only have the lights on their heads, and then they're like their cameras and phones and stuff. That's all they've got, and it really makes for a tense, suspenseful movie.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that I'm like super claustrophobic, but I'm definitely like not a fan of tight spaces. And I remember seeing this in theaters and just being in awe of how unsettling it made me feel. Like before we even got to any of the monsters or anything, just like, and to this day, I don't think I've seen another movie that's made me feel this way.
Also, I can't believe this is 12 years old now. Actually,
jeez, wow.
Oh man, time flies. I will say this: if you're going to seek this movie out, make sure you see it with the original ending. When they released it in the US, because it's a British movie, when they released it in the US, they changed the ending, and I don't want to spoil what the actual ending is by telling you what they changed, but let's just say they went for something a lot more Hollywood, and it completely changes the intention of what the ending actually is. So make sure it's got the original ending. That'd be my, and most of the discs, like the Blu-ray and stuff, will have the original ending there, but you might have to pick it. You might have to say, I want this cut on the disc. I'm not sure, but definitely look out for that.
All right.
Well, cool. All right, so we're done. Is that all of them?
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
There you go. That one took longer on the first one, but hey ho, there we are. We're halfway through. That is numbers 75 through 51. Obviously, next week, part 3 will be for 50. I'll say that again. That'll be 50 to 26. That'll be part 3 next week. So, yeah, so thank you for sticking around. I'll drag this out a little bit because I know I'm going to have 50 things scrolling underneath us as we talk, just so it's got time. Because if I don't have this bit be long enough, the scroll will have to start as we're still talking about the movies, and that's kind of weird if it starts and we're still talking about number like 52. So, but no, so that's the next chunk. I think as we were getting towards the end of that chunk, you could see some of the classics and stuff start to sort of squeak in. Like, we're starting to get to that point where some of the really sort of big names are starting to sprinkle in. There's still some stupid stuff, of course. I stand by my choppy mall placement. I will fight anyone who says otherwise. But there we go. So yeah, so if you want to like, subscribe, all that stuff, it helps us out. Let us know in the comments what you think of the picks so far. If you're making your own list, by all means, reveal yours with us. If you want to save that for the last part, that makes sense too. But
I'd be interested in reading other people's lists. So yeah,
it would be. Yeah, it's probably better than Tim's. I mean, that's safe to say.
Oh, well, good. They can be the new co-host then, because...
Please, make sure it's better than Tim's. I will let them know. So, yeah, so do that. If you want to support the channel and support like Screams After Midnight specifically, you can do that by going over to patreon.com/MailerFuzzTV, and you can see what's on offer over there. There's some bonuses for different tiers of the $1 tier, the $5 tier, $8 tier. $8 tier is a commentary tier, some commentary tracks every month. The first couple are free though for everyone because it's October, we're just starting that this month, so you can go and check out those. Especially since YouTube just decided recently to stop letting us earn any money on any of these videos because they deem them to be non-advertiser friendly. So because of that, we used to make some money on YouTube, now we do not. So so Patreon is the way to kind of make that okay. But that's if you're interested. And every dollar counts. So if you only want to give $1, don't feel bad. $1's great. $1's fantastic.
We love $1.
We love $1. Yeah, I'd buy that for $1. There's a reason why that phrase exists. So that's all that. So thank you once again for watching. Of course, we've got a lot of extra episodes coming out because it is October, so you can look forward to the next one in the very near future. But otherwise, that is us, guys. So thank you once again for watching. Tim is looking for his cat that he's lost between his feet. We'll see you next time. Keep watching scary movies. Goodbye, guys.